Okay, there were 3 versions of the quiz, and I'm going to try to go through all 3 versions on this video. Let me show you the distinction between them so you can find which one applies to you, and we're going to go in a specific order. If you want to jump straight to yours, you can, but here we go. Look at your f of x, the very first thing that's on your paper. X minus 8, x minus 4, x plus 6. You can find yours, x minus 8, x minus 4, x plus 6. You can find yours and follow along. I'm going to start with x plus 6. And if you want one of the other ones, then there will be instructions on your screen about what to do. So here we go. I'm going to go very, very fast on this because you can watch it as many times as you see necessary or as you feel necessary. What is the range of f of x? F of x is this line right here. You know how to graph a line. I'm going to do that just to have a visual. The range is the y values. That would be the y values. All the y values are covered. In other words, there are no y values that could not be an output for this. It is negative infinity to infinity. This is a good pen. I like this. The domain of f of x is the same. Any x value you think of can go in it. We can do it 2 ways. You can look at the graph and say, oh, wow, that just keeps on going in both directions. Or you could look at the equation and say, you know what, x plus 6, I can take any number and add 6 to it. Is perfectly legal. The difference is I can't divide by 0 and I can't take the square root of negative numbers. That's when it gets tricky. All right, the domain of r of x. Speaking of which, we're going to do this one 2 ways. We're going to do it algebraically by thinking our way through it, and we're also going to do it on the calculator. Domain of r of x. I can plug in a 0. If I plug in a 0, I'm taking the square root of 0. That's fine. When I plug in a 0, I get an answer of negative 2. Never mind, that's not relevant. That would be my output. But I can plug in a 0. I cannot plug in a 1. So, real lightly with a pencil, I'm going to write that down. 0 is good. 1 is not. 2 is not. 3 is not. And it's not because if I plugged in a 3, I'd be taking the square root of negative 18. That's a bad idea. But I could plug in a negative 1 and take the square root of positive 6. That works. I can use a negative 2. Basically, anything from negative infinity all the way up to and including 0 works. Let's graph it. Negative 2 plus the square root of negative 6x, and we will graph it, and you see it right there. It stops at 0. Now, don't be tricked. You can barely see it on your screen. Here we go. You can see that it stops here at 0. Don't be fooled though, because it stops below the origin. I don't care that it stops below the origin. That's the range. The domain stops at 0 right there. Okay. The domain of k of x. I'm going to do this one without graphing it. I cannot divide by 0. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. It is illegal. Therefore, in this situation, if I plugged in the answer to this equation, then I will not be able to graph it at that point. So, x equals negative 1. That one is illegal. I cannot use negative 1. That would give me a 0 in the bottom. I can use anything between negative infinity and negative 1. I can use anything from negative 1 to infinity, but cannot, that's why I'm using parentheses, cannot use negative 1 itself. Okay, for this one, the domain is very similar to what we just did. F of x over g of x, that would be x plus 6 over 12 minus 3x. And I have to ask myself, what can I not have for an x? In other words, what would make this denominator equal to 0? And I can subtract 12, I can divide by negative 3, and I get 4. 4 is illegal. I cannot have a 4. I cannot plug a 4 down here. I'll be dividing by 0. Same idea as the last one. There we go. What is the range, y values, outputs of v of x? Well, let's find out. By the way, there's an algebraic way to do this one. We're not going to yet, though. That'll happen later. X squared plus 4x, and we're going to graph it. So essentially, it's no, 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 yes, 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 yes. So the question is, where is that? And it's kind of hard to tell. You can sort of look, but we need to know exactly. And Desmos is better on this. But if we go to the minimum, we can go to the left of our minimum, go to the right of our minimum, and hit enter. We'll deal with this more later. The minimum value is not x, it's a y. We're dealing with the range. It's -4. From -4 and up. There we go. There's the domain and range ones. We got those out of the way. Let's keep going. Simplify f of g of x. This is the same thing as this right here. So, f of, well, what is g of x? Well, it's 12 minus 3x. 12 minus 3x goes right there. 12 minus 3x. Well, what am I going to do with it? Well, whatever I want to do with it. I'm going to take it. Here's what I want to do with it. I'm going to take that thing, and I'm going to plug this into the f function. See that x that I'm pointing at? I don't want x. I want all that mess. Plus 6. There's your f right there. X plus 6. Well, I don't want x. I want 12 minus 3x. That's a little sloppy, sorry. 12 minus 3x plus 6. Why did I put parentheses? I don't know. I don't even need them. There we go. Are we done? No. You have like terms. You know this. There you go. 12 plus 6. You know what that is. There it is right there. Let's keep going. This is the same thing as v of f of x. Okay. What is f of x? You know this. There it is. F of x says x plus 6. Fantastic. I want v of x plus 6. I'm going to take that sucker right there, and I'm going to plug it into the v function. What does v say? V says x squared plus 4x. You know, everywhere I said x, I'm not going to say x. I'm going to say stuff. Stuff squared plus 4 times my stuff, and my stuff is x plus 6. This one involves a little foiling. X plus 6 plus, let's go ahead and distribute. 4x plus 24. This is a really good writing pen. I know you wanted to know that, don't you? X times x squared. I'm foiling. Plus 6x plus 6x plus 36 plus all that stuff right there. I feel like combining some like terms. Let's do it. X squared is the only squared term. 6 plus 4 is 16. 36 plus 24, 36 plus 24 is 60. We're done with that one. How do you know you're done? You've combined your like terms. Why don't you have a number for an answer? Because I never plugged in a number. I used an x instead. Okay. Simplify. That actually should have said simplify, not evaluate. But the fact that there was not a number there kind of gives it away. Simplify. V of x minus g of x. I'm going to write it, and then I'm going to fix it. Here's v of x. Here's g of x. And we're going to subtract them. Oh my, I have messed up. Here's what I did wrong. Don't erase it. It's not bad. Here's v of x. There's g of x. I'm going to subtract the whole thing. I couldn't tell you how many people missed it because of that, and I warned you. Bless your hearts. That should say x squared, not v squared. I'm sorry. There we go. We fixed it. X squared minus, plus 4x. Minus 12 plus 3x. That makes 7x right there. X squared plus 7x minus 12. We're done. How do you know you're done? Your like terms are together. By the way, that factors, but we're not going to go there. No, I take that back. That doesn't factor. For a quick glance, I thought it did. F of x plus g of x. Don't make this harder than it is. It ain't that bad. 1x minus 3x is negative 2x. 6 plus 12 is 18. I'm done. That's it. Finished. I have no like terms to put together, but I don't have a number for an answer. You don't need a number for an answer because you weren't asked to plug in numbers. Now, there, I better get a number for an answer. Here, I better get a number for an answer. Let's keep going. Boy, I sure do want to go home. If I was going to go home, I would have to walk outside where my car is waiting for me. The things on the outside wait. That was the point of that really dumb story. You've heard it before, though. That happens first. What about your V? My V waits. It waits and waits. Don't let all these parentheses trip you up. Don't panic. V of something. What is that something? We're going to plug 0 into the K function, meaning this. 0 plus 6, 0 plus 1. 0 plus 6, 0 plus 1. Let's not waste any time. That is 6 over 1. 6 over 1 is 6. Well, what does that mean, Mr. Reader? Thank you for asking. We're going to take this 6 and we're going to send it into the V function. Whatever V tells me to do, I'm going to do it 6. V says square it plus 4 times it. It is 6. By the way, random thought. If you get a negative number here, make sure you put it in parentheses in your calculator if you're typing it in, although you can figure it out without your calculator. 36 plus 24, 60. Boom. Same numbers that happened up here. All right, last one, and then we'll move on to a different version of the quiz. R of negative 6 plus P of negative 6, here it goes. I'm going to plug negative 6 into the R function. R says negative 2 plus negative 6 times x. It ain't an x anymore. It's the negative 6 now. Plus P of negative 6. I'm going to plug a negative 6 into P. P is this really nasty mess right here. There we go. That's a mess, but we're going to fix it. All right, there's R of negative 6. There's P of negative 6. And we'll fix them. We'll add them together. Negative 2 plus square root of 36. Some people didn't square root that 36. They just put 36. No, square root it. Plus the absolute value, whatever you get in here, you better make it positive. A third of negative 6 is negative 2. We'll make that positive in just a minute. Let's keep going. Negative 2 plus 6 plus, make it positive. That's what absolute value does. Plus 5. Those cancel. I noticed that. Not that you have to do it that way, but there we go. 11. We are done with that one. If you need to go back and view anything else, feel free. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'm not wasting time. Let's move on to the next one right now. The next version of the quiz I'm going to do, this may apply to you, it may not, is the one that says x minus 4. Let's get started. The domain of f of x, the domain is the y values. Those are the y values that I'm using. I know what a line looks like, and I know that with pretty much with any line that is a function, the domain is from negative infinity to infinity. Any x value you think of will work. Negative infinity to infinity. Let's do the range for the same thing. The range will be the y values. Negative infinity to infinity. Anything could be my output. Anything. The domain of K. All right, let's back up for just a second. What can I plug in for x into f? Anything. What can I plug in for x into k? Anything except whatever makes that denominator equal 0. Whoa. That can't happen. And the 1 is what makes it happen. Anything except 1. So anything from negative infinity to 1, and anything from 1 to infinity, and we join them with the union symbol. It does not include the 1, which is why we didn't put the brackets. Domain of R, we'll do this in our head and then we'll do it on the calculator. I cannot take the square root of a negative number. When I see square roots, that's one of the first things that pops in my head. I can't take the square root of a number, a negative number. So I can't do that, so I'm thinking of what x values would be illegal. I'm going to make a quick list of just a handful of integers here. 1, 2, 3. All right, let's just go through our list. I'll start at 0. Can I plug a 0 in right here? Let's see, negative 3 times 0 is 0. I can take the square root of 0. Wow, 0's in. You're good. Let's go to the right. If I plug in a 1, I'm taking the square root of negative 3. Nope. If I plug in a 2, you know where this is going. I'm taking the square root of negative 6. If I plug in a 3, I'm taking the square root of negative 9. Oh, can't go that way. If I plug in a negative 1, I'm taking the square root of a positive number. A positive number. A positive number. Let me prove it to you. 6 minus square root of negative 3x. My domain, don't worry about the fact that it touches up here on the y-axis. I'm asking for x values. Domain, negative infinity till it stops there, and it stops at 0. It stops at 0 on the x-axis. Sure enough, it stops up here, but I don't care about up here. I care that it stops right there on the x-axis. Even though it doesn't touch the origin, it stops where x equals 0. That's my point. So from negative infinity to 0, including 0, which is why it's a bracket. The range of v of x. Goodness, I don't know. Let's graph it and find out. X squared minus 5x. The range is the y values. So, no, 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 yes. Yes, 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 yes. From here and up. So now the question is, where is there? Well, let me go ahead and write one thing while it's on my mind. From there and up. I just don't know where there is. You can kind of trace it across and count, but let's be really accurate with it. Desmos is better for this, by the way. Second calc, I'm going to find that minimum. And I need to be to the left of it. I need to go to the right of it and hit enter, and then enter on guess. And I'm going to round it. No, I don't have to round it off. I'm looking at the y value because I'm dealing with the range, not that 2.5. What rounds off to be 2.5? It's this one, negative 6 1/4. Negative 6 1/4 all the way to infinity. The domain of this one is so similar to this one, it's scary. Here we go. The domain of that is going to be x minus 4 over 12 plus 4x. All right, so now the question is, what can I not plug in? Well, I tell you what I can't plug in. Well, let me tell you what I can't have. That can't happen. It better not happen. I can't divide by 0. And that happens there. That's where that happens. Don't let that happen. Don't you do it. Negative infinity to negative 3, negative 3 to infinity. Anything but negative 3. All right, let's keep moving. F of x plus g of x. Here's f of x. Here is g of x. We're going to add them together. And all I have to do is combine my like terms. Don't make this one harder than it is. Please don't make it harder than it is. X here, I have 5x. Negative 4, positive 12. That makes 8. Done. Really, don't make it harder than it is. Let's keep going. V of x minus g of x. And I did it wrong. Do you see what I did wrong? Do you see it? If I'm going to subtract g of x, I better subtract that whole thing. Please, please don't miss that. Some of y'all missed that on the quiz. Be careful. X squared minus 5x minus 12 minus 4x. You have some like terms to put together now. X squared, let's see, that one and that one go together, so minus 9x minus 12. Now you're done. Please be careful. You're subtracting all of it. All of it. Let's keep going. R of negative 3 plus P of negative 3. We're going to plug a negative 3 into the R function. 6 minus square root of negative 3 times negative 3. Because that's what R told me to do. Plus, Don't need the parentheses. I need the absolute value. So what we're going to do is plug that -3 into the absolute value. And we have 1/2 times -3 plus 3. What does absolute value do? Well, it makes it positive. What if it's already positive? It keeps it positive. Isn't that cute? 6 minus the square root of 9. Don't forget that square root. Plus half of 3. I'm going to go ahead and call it 1/2. Technically, it's negative, and it's still in the bars. If you want to go ahead and pull it out and make it positive, you can. Plus 3. You got a mess, Mr. Reader. Yep, let's fix it. 3 minus 3 plus, make it positive, plus 3. For what it matters, these cancel, although you don't have to think about it that way. 7.5. All right, let's keep going. 0 is going to go into the k function, which means v waits. V is waiting to figure out what all this is going to be. 0 goes into k, so 0 plus 5 over 0 minus 1. 5 divided by -1 is -5. There we go. Let's keep going. -5 is now going to get plugged into the v function, and the v function says x squared minus 5x. Well, instead of x, we have a -5. Let me show you what some of you did. Here's what you did. Watch my calculator closely. -5 squared minus 5 times -5. And you got 0. And you put it down, and I counted it wrong. Here's what's wrong with it. What's -5 squared? It's 25. That's also 25, and it is positive, and you get 50. Then why'd your calculator lie to you? Y'all know this. Come on. Because when you square a negative, it becomes positive. Calculators don't know that. Calculators will square the 5 and then change its sign unless you put it in parentheses. Just saying. Let's move on. Last two are composite functions. I will not get a numerical answer only for these. There will be x's involved. How do I know? Because there's an x right there and there's an x right here. I got number answers for these because I plugged in numbers. Here goes. V of f of x. Well, what happens with v? Nothing. He waits. He just sits there and waits. What about f? What about him? He's x minus 4. What now? Don't you panic. You got this. V is, and I'm looking at the top as I say this, V is that stuff squared minus 5 times that stuff. Well, what is that stuff? It's that right there. This one requires a little bit of foiling and some distributing. So here goes, going to FOIL. X times x is x squared. Negative 4x minus 4x plus 16 minus 5x plus 20. Put your like terms together. That's the only squared one. Negative 8 minus 5 is negative 13. 16 plus 20 is 36. I left off my x. There it goes. That's it. Last one. And then we'll hit the last version of the quiz. Well, what's g of x? Well, you look up at the top and it tells you what it is. What about the f? Hey, whoa now. He's on the outside. He's waiting. Just sitting there waiting. Stalking and waiting. Waiting his turn. Now it's his turn. Now that we have written down what g of x is, it's his turn. It's f's turn. What does f say? F says take your junk and subtract 4. Take that junk in parentheses, subtract 4. So 12 plus 4x minus 4. Oh, I'm done. No, you're not. You have like terms that go together. I dropped my parentheses because I didn't really need to have them. Like terms, that gives me this right here. Done. There is one more version of the quiz, and we're going to do it. I'm going to go very quickly. Last one. I'm going to go straight through. Here goes. R of negative 9. I'm going to plug a negative 9 into r. Negative 1 plus negative 9 times negative 9. Got that? Now we're going to plug negative 9 into p, plus absolute value of a half times negative 9 minus 6. Let's keep going. Negative 1 plus the square root of 81. Some of y'all left it as 81 and did not take the square root. Be careful. Plus, that's negative 4.5. But not really. It's going to become positive in a minute. Okay? Let's start fixing some things and cleaning up each individual piece. Negative 1 sits there and waits. Plus 9, plus we make it positive, minus 6. And we'll clean all this up. That's 8 and 4.5 is 12.5. 12.5 minus 6 is 6.5. There we go. I'm second guessing myself. Give me just a second. 8, 4.5, 12.5, 12. Yeah, I'm right. Yeah, okay. All right, let's keep going. By the way, before I keep going, that's a number. Yeah, great. Why are you pointing at that and telling me it's a number? Because those are numbers. That's a number. When I'm done, I better get a number. That's not a number. My answer here and here, and actually the bottom two on this one, are going to have answers that are not numbers only. They'll have variables in there. Here goes. This is the same thing as saying v of something, but I don't know what it is yet until I plug 0 into the k function. So 0 plus 8 over 0 minus 2. That's 8 over negative 2. Last time I checked, that was negative 4, and I checked just this morning. We're going to plug negative 4 into the v function. V says square it, and then 3 times it. Well, it is negative 4. I said this on the last version of the quiz when I went through that one. I'm going to say it again. Some of y'all got that. You're wrong. Bless your heart, you're wrong. Some of y'all got negative 28. Here's what's wrong with it. You know what negative 4 is, squared. The answer is positive 4. Why'd your calculator lie to you? Because when the calculator does this right here, it squares that and then changes its sign. The calculator, bless his heart, he doesn't know any better. There. That's how it's done. Let's keep moving. This next one requires foiling. How do I know? Because I've already worked through 2 different versions of the quiz. That's how I know. You'll see, though. This is the same thing. Don't try to multiply v times f. That's not what that means. This is a composite function. What's f of x? X minus 8. Great. Then let's never say f again in this problem. Let's just say x minus 8. So v of x minus 8. What does that mean? That means I have to look up here and ask what v's doing. Well, v says that stuff squared plus 3 times that stuff. Well, what's that stuff? It's x minus 8. I'm going to go ahead and distribute. All right, let's go ahead and FOIL this one out. X squared minus 8x plus 64 plus 3x minus 24. And all we have to do now is combine our like terms. That's the only squared term we have. Negative 8 minus 8 is negative 16 plus that, negative 13. 64 minus 24 is 40. 40. There it is. That's an awkward way to say 40, isn't it? That's probably the hardest one on here, or the most involved problem on here. Simplify this one. This is f times g of x. I just said that wrong. I'm sorry. That is f of g of x, not multiply. Don't multiply them. It's a composite function. Sorry about that. G of x is that. So it's f of that. What does that mean? That means this is going to go into the f function. F says stuff minus 8. There's the stuff. Why do I have parentheses? Don't even need them. What are you doing now? Combining like terms. 10 minus 8. There it is. Okay, then we get into 6 problems that are purely domain and range. I'm going to go very quickly. Domain of f of x. This is a linear function. The graph of this thing looks like that. Any x value is legal. Negative infinity to infinity. The range of f of x. And now it's asking for the outputs. Any y value that you ask for can be given. Anything from negative infinity to infinity can happen. Here's the difference, though. Domain of k, I can't divide by 0. I can't do it. Trust me, I tried. Ended up in the hospital. That's your denominator, set equal to 0. This can't happen. That's what makes it happen. I don't want that to happen. Don't let this happen to you. Don't let your x equal 2 in this problem, because you'll be dividing by 0. And so therefore, you can pick any x value. Oops, that should say positive 2, not negative 2. Sorry about that. There we go. You can pick any x value between negative infinity and 2. You can pick any x value between 2 and infinity, but you better not pick an exact 2. And you join them with the union symbol. Okay, the domain of R. R is a square root function. Let's do it in our head. Can I plug in a 0? Yes, because it'll give me the square root of 0. I can do that. 0's good. Can I plug in a 1? No, can't do it. I'll be taking the square root of a negative number. Some of you, when you graphed it, you were thinking of it kind of the wrong way. By the way, let me keep going before I graph it. If I plug in a negative 1, it works. 0's good, negative 1 is good, negative 2 is good, negative 3, negative 4. There's the domain. Well, Mr. Reader's not what I got when I graphed it. All right. Whoops. Because when I zoomed it in, Mr. Reader, it ended down here at negative 1. So that's a y value. I want to know where it ends on the x-axis. Good, 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 good. Stop. That stopped at 0. Now, it didn't touch at 0, 0, but negative 2 was good, negative 1 was good, 0's good, but nothing beyond that. All right. The range of v of x. We're going to have to graph this one as well. X squared plus 3x. Go to a standard window. The range will be the y values. So, bad, 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 bad. Good, 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 good. From here and up. Problem is I don't know where here is exactly. Desmos is much better for this. So it's from there to infinity, but I don't know where it is. Here it is on a calculator in case you want to know. Calculate the minimum. We go to the left of that minimum, go to the right of that minimum, hit enter, negative 1.5. I lied. We're dealing with the range, so we're dealing with y values, so it's negative 2.25. Negative 2.25. Okay, 3 more. Almost done. The domain of f of x over g of x. Well, that would be this over that. What can you not divide by? Oh, 0. Good. Thanks for answering that. So here's the deal. Now, this one doesn't jump out at you like some of the other ones. That can't happen. Let's solve it. 10 over 6. That's the same thing as 5/3. That's the same thing as 1.6 repeating, or 1.67 if you round it off, 1.7 if you really round it off. So, Any number you pick between here and here is good. Any number you pick between here and here is good, but you better not pick 5/3. 2 more problems. These aren't nearly as bad as you think. F of x plus g of x. There's f of x. There's g of x. Combine your like terms. Add them together. Negative 5x plus 2. I added those, and then I added those. Last problem. This is wrong. A lot of you did this right here, and I warned you against it. Be careful, please be careful. That's right. You're subtracting all of it. See, I don't have to put parentheses around here when I'm adding it. Minus 10 plus 6x. And then we'll put those two together because they're like terms. X squared plus 9x minus 10. We are done.